Before we start, quick like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. David had always been the kind of husband who noticed the little things. At 37, he ran a small but successful landscaping business in Charlotte, North Carolina. Long days in the sun, coming home with dirt under his nails and a tired but satisfied smile. His wife, Lauren, 35, worked as a pediatric nurse at the Children's Hospital downtown. 12-hour shifts, emotional work, but she loved it. They'd been married for 9 years, together since college. No kids yet. They'd been waiting for the right time, saving for a bigger house in a better school district. Their life was comfortable, steady, loving. Weekends were for lazy breakfasts on the back porch, grilling with neighbors, or driving to the Blue Ridge Mountains for hikes. Their friends called them the quietly perfect couple. Lauren still wore the simple white gold wedding ring David had picked out on one knee in the campus quad all those years ago. It started with small, almost invisible changes. Lauren began picking up extra shifts. "We're short-staffed," she'd say. "The overtime will help with the house fund." David never questioned it. He was proud of her dedication. She started dressing differently for work. New scrubs in brighter colors. Makeup even on night shifts. A new perfume that lingered in the car long after she'd left. Her phone was always on silent now, screen down. When David walked into the room, she'd quickly close apps or lock it. He told himself he was being paranoid. They'd always trusted each other completely. Then came that ordinary Tuesday morning in early spring. David woke up before Lauren. She'd worked a double the night before and was still asleep. He padded downstairs to make coffee and let their Labrador, Bailey, out into the backyard. As he passed the kitchen trash can on his way to the coffee maker, something glinted in the overflow bag. He stopped, reached in, and pulled out Lauren's wedding ring. The simple white gold band with the tiny etched infinity symbol inside. The one she never took off. Not for surgeries, not for gardening, not even when her fingers swelled during a hot summer. It was scratched slightly, as if it had been pulled off forcefully. David stood frozen, ring in his palm, staring at it like it was an alien object. His heart started pounding. He checked the bathroom. No, it wasn't on the counter or in her jewelry dish. He went upstairs quietly. Lauren was still asleep, breathing softly, left hand tucked under the pillow. No ring. He told himself there had to be an explanation. Maybe it was loose and fell off. Maybe she'd put it in her pocket and it ended up in the trash by accident. But deep down, something cold settled in his gut. That evening, when Lauren got home from another late meeting at the hospital, David was waiting in the living room. She walked in, smiling tiredly, kicking off her shoes. "Hey babe," she said, leaning down to kiss him. "Long day. I'm exhausted." David held up the ring between his fingers. "Found this in the trash this morning." Her face went white. Instantly, she froze mid-motion, eyes locked on the ring. She stammered. "It kept slipping off. I meant to get it resized. Must have fallen in when I was throwing away a tissue or something." David just looked at her. "You never take it off, Lauren." "Not once in 9 years." She sat down slowly, avoiding his eyes. "I've just been stressed. Work's been crazy. I didn't want to worry you." The explanation felt thin. Rehearsed, almost. David didn't push it that night. He wanted to believe her. But he couldn't sleep. The next day, while Lauren was supposedly at work, David did something he'd never imagined he'd do. He opened the Find My app on his phone, the one they shared for safety. Her location was off. Not just hidden, completely disabled. That had never happened before. His stomach twisted. He checked their joint credit card statement online. Nothing unusual at first. But then he noticed recurring charges at a downtown apartment complex, the Harper Lofts. A place they'd once looked at together before deciding it was too expensive. Monthly charges labeled storage unit for the last 14 months. Storage unit? They didn't have extra stuff. David's hands started shaking. He called the complex from his truck, pretending to be Lauren's husband, confirming a payment. The receptionist was helpful. "Yes, Mr. Thompson, Unit 512 is paid through the end of the year. Would you like the gate code?" Thompson? Lauren's maiden name. Not his. David hung up. He drove downtown in a daze. The Harper Lofts were sleek, modern brick, rooftop pool, concierge. The kind of place young professionals loved. He parked across the street and waited. 3 hours later, he saw her car. Lauren's silver CRV pulling into the resident garage. She was supposed to be at the hospital until 7 p.m. It was only 2:30. David's heart slammed against his ribs. He waited another 30 minutes, then walked into the lobby. The concierge, a young guy named Marcus, looked up. "Can I help you?" "I'm here for Unit 512. Lauren Thompson's husband." Marcus hesitated. Miss Thompson usually comes alone. Or with Mr. Carter." "Mr. Carter." David knew a Carter. Ethan Carter. The ER doctor Lauren had mentioned in passing. New guy on the team. Really good with the kids. David's voice was steady. "I need to see the unit. Family emergency." Marcus, clearly uncomfortable, buzzed him up after a quick call, probably to avoid drama. 5th floor. David walked down the hall like a man heading to his own execution. He knocked on 512. No answer. He tried the handle. Unlocked. He stepped inside. The apartment smelled like her, new perfume mixed with vanilla candles. It was fully furnished. Cozy. Lived in. Photos on the walls. His legs nearly gave out. Lauren and Ethan. On the beach in Charleston. Lauren had told him that was a nurse's retreat last summer. At a rooftop restaurant downtown. Laughing at a concert. One framed on the nightstand. Ethan kissing her cheek, both in scrubs, arms around each other. In the bedroom, men's clothes in the closet. Ethan's size. Shoes David recognized from a hospital Christmas party. In the bathroom, his toothbrush next to hers. His cologne. On the kitchen counter, a note in Lauren's handwriting. "Can't wait for our weekend away. Love you always. L." David took photos of everything. Methodically. The frames. The closet. The note. The lease papers in a drawer, signed by Lauren alone 15 months ago. They hadn't just been having an affair. They'd built a home. A life. While David mowed lawns and came home to an empty house, waiting for her late shifts. He left quietly. Drove home in silence. When Lauren walked in that evening at 8 p.m., smiling, carrying takeout from their favorite Thai place, David was sitting on the couch. Bailey whined at her feet. "Hey honey," she said brightly. "I brought dinner. Thought we could." David held up his phone. Showed her the first photo. Her and Ethan on that beach. The takeout bag slipped from her hand, spilling onto the floor. "David, don't." His voice was calm. Deadly calm. The apartment. Unit 512 at the Harper Lofts. The one you rented in your maiden name. With Ethan Carter. She collapsed into the armchair, tears already falling. "I can explain. You threw your wedding ring in the trash. Then went to his apartment. What's there to explain, Lauren?" She sobbed. It started as comfort. The long shifts, the stress. Ethan understood the job in a way you couldn't. One night after a bad case, we talked. Then it just happened. I never meant. 15 months. David's voice finally cracked. 15 months of lies? Of coming home to me after being with him? Of building a life with him while I saved for our future? She reached for him. He stood up, moving away. "I was going to end it," she whispered. "I swear. I love you, David. This was a mistake. I took the ring off because I felt guilty. I couldn't look at it. A mistake doesn't have framed photos. A mistake doesn't have his clothes in your closet. A mistake doesn't plan weekend getaways." He showed her the note. She closed her eyes, tears streaming. David felt something inside him die. "I want you out. Tonight. David, please. Counseling. Anything. I'll quit. I'll never see him again. We can fix this." No, the word was final. You don't get to fix what you destroyed. She begged for hours. Promised everything. Blamed stress, loneliness, the pressure of her job. David didn't yell. He just waited until she packed 2 suitcases and left. The house was silent. Bailey lay at his feet, sensing the grief. The next morning, David called a lawyer. The divorce was swift and brutal. North Carolina allowed fault-based grounds. David had overwhelming evidence. Photos, lease records, credit card charges, even text messages recovered from the cloud. Lauren tried to claim emotional neglect. He was always working, never home. But when the judge saw the timeline, the apartment rented while David was planning their 10th anniversary trip, the argument fell apart. She walked away with only what she'd brought into the marriage and a repayment plan for half the money funneled into the apartment. Ethan Carter's life unraveled faster. David anonymously sent the evidence to the hospital's HR department. Affairs between staff were against policy. Ethan was suspended, then quietly let go. His wife, David hadn't even known he was married, filed for divorce when she found out. Word spread through the medical community. Shifts dried up. Reputation ruined. Lauren moved to Raleigh to live with her sister. Took a lower-paying job at a clinic. Last David heard, she and Ethan had broken up. She couldn't handle the consequences. David sold the house 8 months later, bought a smaller cabin on Lake Norman. Just him and Bailey. The business grew. He hired a crew, took on bigger contracts. One fall afternoon, nearly a year after finding the ring in the trash, David was at a local nursery picking out plants for a new client when a woman approached. "You're David Thompson, right? I've seen your work around town. The Japanese garden at the community center? Stunning." She had kind eyes and a warm smile. They talked for an hour about landscaping, favorite hiking spots, terrible hospital coffee. When she left, she handed him her card. "Landscape architect. If you ever want to collaborate, or just grab a beer." David smiled. A real one. That night, sitting on his dock with Bailey beside him, watching the sunset over the lake, David opened his hand. The wedding ring was still there. He'd kept it as a reminder. He looked at it one last time, then threw it into the water. It sank quietly. Some things aren't meant to be saved. But he was. He'd lost a wife. 9 years of what he thought was forever. But he'd found something stronger. The truth about who he was when everything fell apart. A man who didn't need lies to feel whole. A man who could rebuild, better, wiser, freer. Lauren and Ethan had tried to take his future. In the end, they'd only lost theirs. And David? He was just getting started. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any updates. See you next time.